No matter how full my closet gets, I swear I have nothing that I want to wear, which is why I'm super grateful for Armoire, because with their clothing rental membership, I get to have access to high quality, unique brands tailored just for me. All I had to do was take a 5-minute style quiz, and it was scary accurate with how much they knew my style, and by some kind of magic, it was delivered at my door within 2 days. If I want to try something new or swap out styles, I just send it. No laundry required. Best thing. Armoire is great for so many reasons. It can help define your personal style. It's super spot on. And also it's sustainable because I don't have to feel bad about if I wear an outfit one time and I just want to try something new. I can rent things, try them out, and keep swapping and not have to worry about waste. Plus, you're always going to have something to wear without hassle or clutter in your closet, which is what I really relate to. And no matter what occasion you have, whether it's a date or a work conference or a black tie event, you'll be the best dressed person in the room without even stepping a foot into the fitting room. This is fantastic because I've literally bought an entire outfit before just to go to one party. Armoire can also help if your body is changing, whether that's a fitness journey or during pregnancy. I know I've recommended this to a lot of the new moms that I know in my life, because your body's changing and you want to feel great and amazing. And one of my favorite things is that Armoire is women owned and led. They even spotlight women owned designers on their website. Right now, our listeners can give Armoire a try and get up to 50% off their first month. That is up to $125 off. Just visit armoire.style/book talk. That's Armoire, ARMOIRE.style/book talk, BOOKTALK, to get 50% off your first month.
Uh-oh, the last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
You're the perfect blend of elegance and style, and your ride should be no different. The 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid meets all your needs, from business to brunch and everywhere in between. With head-turning details like a sleek front end, plus stylish interior, and an available 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster and seamless tech integration. Okay, Hyundai. Visit HyundaiUSA.com to learn more about the new 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid.
Welcome to Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy, a literary podcast where we deep dive into the writings of your favorite novels. This spring, we are hosting a book club while we prepare our 10-part literary analysis of Sarah J. Maas's Crown of Midnight.
This is Jac.
And I'm Amy.
And each week we'll discuss one book from our spring book club roster. By using our literary backgrounds, we'll provide our flash analysis of each book, as well as discuss listener thoughts.
But before we get into our book club content, we're here to discuss listener thoughts about our Throne of Glass season. This is part 2 of this week's listener thoughts episode. So we're going to deviate a little bit and we're going to talk about Crescent City, because we did receive a listener thought in response to our HOSAB season. And this is from Allegra Faye. She says, and I'm assuming her gender, "Hey, Jac and Amy, I've recently come across your podcast and I love it so much. I've been binging for the last couple of months and I'm currently listening to the episode of HOSAB chapters 54 through 59, part 1. Simultaneously, I'm rereading the series, but I just read HOFAS chapter 53 and had a thought. Jac is always complaining about Ethan only having skills referenced from Sunball. She says in parentheses, rightfully so, it's so obnoxious.
Okay.
But in HOFAS chapter 53, Ethan makes a reference, and she says, I think his first reference, to his skills from the ox and his pack. And the quote is, "And with his ox and pack training, Ethan could make a difference too." My thought is that up until this moment, Ethan hasn't been able to face or come to terms with his exile from his pack and the ox. So his only identity left is Sunball. He probably thinks that Sunball is the only thing that makes him worthwhile and the only reason his skills are useful. At least until chapter 53 in Flame and Shadow, after he's killed Sigrid, tried to raise her, failed at that, and is now running to Asphodel Meadows once again to save some humans from a bombing, he's now being forced to face his demons and at least recognize that he's more than just a sunball jock. It'll be interesting to see if he makes more Ox/Wolf Pack references as I continue to read Flame and Shadow. Thanks for listening to my rant.
Great.
An excellent point. That by being kicked out of his pack by Sabine, he has nothing left. He's not a wolf anymore because he has no pack, therefore. And quite frankly, all anybody knows him for is his sunball.
I love it. I agree. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying.
When you say it in that tone.
Okay. I'm going to say something and then I'm going to agree with her. There are times where other people describe him as being as referencing his sunball. So it's like he references himself very much in sunball, but then there's Bryce and Rune, and there's so many other times that other people just only think about wow, he's super fast because he was a captain. However, I still think it goes into her point that they recognize that he does not have a pack, and even outsiders are just trying to find a home for him in a way.
Right. Yeah. I think everyone else struggles to give him identity beyond his sunball identity.
Yeah.
Just like he struggles to find his identity outside of his sunball identity. So everybody is putting baby in a corner, basically. And baby is Ethan.
Not my baby. Not my baby right there. No. Not my baby. I was about to say something wrong.
Not allowed to do that on this podcast.
What do you think I was going to say?
And now I'm just teasing.
I was saying something wrong. There was on TikTok, people are freaking out because Robert Irwin, Steve Irwin's son, did a underwear campaign.
Oh,
let me show you. Hold on. Can you see that?
No, it's not. Oh.
All right. Wait, hold on. Let me show you one more.
I love that anaconda along with it.
Yeah.
I mean, good for him.
Yeah, here's the thing. The internet freaked out because we all realized that he's 21.
Oh, okay. I thought he was older.
No, we all did, Amy. We all did. The amount of TikToks I saw of women being putting myself on a timeout because I discovered his age. Because I looked at this ad and then was like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, I definitely thought he was older.
Yeah, no, we're all terrified. So that's why I was like, baby. And I was like, ooh, no, not that baby. Not that baby. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to read a very long one. This is from Jess. It's a long one. Love you, Jess. But here we go. I binged this whole season while driving and had this thought about the scene where both Dorian and Chaol visit Celaena after she visits the tomb for the first time on Sam Heughan. I think that the sentiment that Dorian has about knowing that Celaena is not a threat to him and won't hurt him is actually some breadcrumbs for a couple of things. 1. When Dorian later discovers his magic and realizes that Celaena also has magic, he understands they are not threats to each other and can support each other. Also, they will have a stronger connection because both of them have such deep powers and will go on to then be the two that will be able to forge the lock in the final book. Also, their connection is important several times over in order to save both of them, such as when they forge the lock and when he breaks free of his collar. He senses in Celaena that there is a deep connection between the two, and it helps to convince the reader now of the love triangle, but is really laying the foundation for the depth of their friendship and its power, and will make the moment where Dorian realizes that Celaena came back for him all the more impactful. The friendship that builds between Dorian, Chaol, and Celaena is something I don't think gets talked about enough with the series. Usually it's the love stories, but in my opinion, the depth and growth of the friendships are so much more powerful. TLDR. I think it's the same way that Celaena's thoughts about Dorian are a red herring to misleading her own romantic interests. Dorian's thoughts are very similar in that the connection is not truly a romantic one, but a very deep and true friendship that will develop and strengthen throughout the journey in the series. Also, listening now to part 1 of chapters 37 to 43 and how some people think you're both being too hard on Dorian and Celaena, but I think that it is honestly part of SJM's intent. As we first meet these characters, we need to have different impressions of them and see how different they are because these characters will be broken down and rebuilt into entirely different characters. In order for their growth and massive changes throughout the series to be believed, these characters have to start aggressively different places. Also, I think it's important to recognize how Dorian is in this first book, because even his friendship with Chaol isn't very deep or as meaningful as they both claim it is, which again allows the growth with their relationship in the series. I know, right?
Good job, Jesse. I love all of this. And, I think what it really boils down to for me is whether SJM knows it or not, she's about to embark on a 7-book series.
I know.
And you can't start the series with the Aelin of Kingdom of Ash. You can't
Nope.
start the series with Dorian of Kingdom of Ash, because then it's not interesting and you're not going to last 7 books. We love this series. We love these characters because of how much growth they go through.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes sense that they get broken down to be rebuilt, because that's how we progress through life, is we get broken down to be rebuilt. I love this idea that SGM, in reworking her original, writing that she developed when she was a teenager, knew that the relationship with Dorian and Celaena was going to go in a different direction, and therefore laid the foundation for that direction early on. I think that's a great idea, and I completely am on board with that.
I mean, then it comes back to like calls to like, right? Because he does have the power and magic, and she has power and magic, right? Yeah, like they're going to need each other for that final battle. And it makes sense that you would have this connection between the two, and they might not know what that fully means, right? They might not know that, okay, I don't necessarily want them. Again, he's a hot prince. And she's a hot assassin. Like, hot meets hot. How are you not? Rhymes. And but at the same time, like, there's that undying connection and friendship that they really have. One of my favorite things that she points out is that Dorian and Chaol don't have a deep connection in book 1. And that is true. No matter how much they'll say it, we don't see that, right? We actually see Dorian doing things to go against Chaol, right? We see Dorian teasing Chaol about liking Celaena and then sneaking into her room, of saying like, oh, well, he's not handling murder very well. Like we're seeing him not be a great friend. And I think that, to Jess's point, like it'll grow and progress so much more. And the friendships are some of the most beautiful parts, because even though, we're in spoiler territory, obviously, but even though like Aelin's romance with Rowan is great, it's kind of wrapped up. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like it happens and it's but because that's what it's not about, right? It's about all the other connections and friendships and dynamics.
Yeah, I agree. At the end of the day, Rowan is a side character. The story is about the character growth of Aelin, Dorian, and Chaol. That's why Chaol gets his own fucking book.
He's a main character, guys. We hate to say it. Like the 3 mains are those 3. Yeah. And everything else revolves around them. Now you get Elide. You get Manon. Yeah, you get Manon. People are gonna be like, don't forget Manon. And then you get like Lorcan, and you get all these other people, yes, but like the first 3 are those 3, and they are main characters.
Yeah. Yeah. And they are the anchors for the entire series.
Yeah. That was great. All right. Let's get into some of the Instagram story stickers. Okay. So kind of going into, I'm going to go read Alex's note. And they say, I was surprised how much groundwork there was for Celaena and Chaol's relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. I was too.
Completely. You read it and I was like, wow, there was only one chapter where I felt like she actually might have liked Dorian.
Yeah.
And I was able to talk myself out of it real fast.
Yep. Yeah. It's really easy to be like, oh, she doesn't really care about Dorian.
No.
He was just convenient to look at.
And you know what? More men should be.
Yeah.
More men should be more convenient to look at.
Spread the word. I'm watching Adolescence, which is...
I told you.
Yeah. It's just making me really sad about the 80-20 rule, that 80% of the women are attracted to 20% of the men.
What's interesting about it is like, as much as like women talk about wanting something nice to look at, wanting everything, Dorian is this really attractive guy, and Chaol is said to be, yes, he's attractive, but he's not as attractive. They make that very clear. and kind of like talking about, adolescence where, some of these guys think that only, 80% of women are only attracted to 20% of the guys. And it's like, well, let's look at reality here. And that is not the case.
Right.
Like, we like someone who's nice.
Right. At the end of the day, we want someone who's going to treat us the way we want to be treated. Again, look just at Celaena and Chaol.
Yeah.
She ends up being more attracted to Chaol because she has more of a connection with Chaol. It doesn't matter that Dorian's more attractive.
If that 20% is there, it's only there because, like, it means 20% of guys aren't assholes.
Right.
Nothing to do with looks. Let's go through my ex-boyfriends.
Yeah, fair.
I have only showed Amy a photo of one guy that she's looked and said, "Oh, good job."
It's true. It's true. But, and I like my own funny looking type, as we call them, quote unquote, funny looking. They're not funny looking. They're just human.
But there are funny looking men.
Right. But that doesn't mean they're not perfectly sculpted by plastic surgeons. Oh, well.
Exactly. That's not what women want at the end of the day.
Right.
Give me that goofy ass. Like, that's what.
Yeah. If a man is prettier than me, why would I want him?
I can't. Like, I need to be able to look like shit and still be a catch. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's just talk. Sorry, let me go on a mini rant about that. Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco is a perfect example of, if these men are so convinced that this 80-20% rule, because it's such an incel thing, and they think it's based off of looks. Selena Gomez, Benny Blanco, when they first started going out, everyone was like, I do not get it. And then they got engaged and they made this album and they were doing a press tour, and Benny Blanco started talking about how he spends his day trying to make her happy, how easy it is to make her happy, that, insecurities are totally normal and he wants to be able to be there for her. And he's like, it's easy to send her a text and comfort her. And then suddenly everyone on the internet, all these women were like, I see it. Good job, Selena. Like, I see it. And honestly, at this point, I would too.
Yeah, I think it was either a podcast or something. He's like, dude, just listen to her. If she's mad at you for something, it's probably because she's talked to you about it multiple times and you just ignored her.
Yeah. Like, women say what they're mad about. Like, that's, it's there. So yeah, it's kind of funny where it's like, as much as like we kind of laugh at Dorian being like, just sit there and be pretty. It's like, would make you prettier? Emotional intelligence.
Yeah. What would make you prettier? Don't assume everyone's going to give you everything you want.
No. That's why he has to go through his journey.
That's right. I'm just trying to find one that isn't like telling us that we did a great job.
No, read those. Freaking love it. Best part of my day is walking and listening. I live for these comments. They get shout outs too.
Yeah. Haley says, just wanted to say this analysis made me fall in love with this series and I was obsessed. Oh, thank you. Thanks everyone for your fantastic, kind, generous comments.
Yep. Someone, and then Dorian, I cut the screenshot off. So good. Dorian and Kaltain analysis was, and then like, like chef's kiss kind of emoji.
I think the name is Diane.
Okay. Diane, thank you. I think we need an episode just on Mort's sassiness for Crown of Midnight.
I can't wait till we get to Mort.
I'm curious to see. I was like thinking about Mort this entire time, and there really wasn't anything to kind of like, other than like her describing a knocker on the door, there wasn't any kind of clues for Mort that I could see.
No, there really wasn't.
It's just kind of one of those, like, I bet it was fun, something that popped up for SJM while she was writing, being like, what's great?
Yeah.
Door knocker.
I need some comic relief. Let me add this door knocker.
Aylin's character development from here on is my fave, and Chaol doesn't deserve such a bad rep. I agree. I mean, we'll see. I think like the best part is that we're going to see him really fall from grace in the next book. Like, and what's even more so, there's a reason why SJM is going to probably build him up so much at the beginning. We're going to see him be romantic. Like, we're going to see them fall in love, be there for Celaena, and then really let her down.
Yeah, I think we have to feel just as betrayed as Celaena feels.
Yep.
And that's because at the end of the day, Chaol is not endgame. If we still were able of feeling not betrayed by Chaol, then we would still have hope that he's endgame. And that's not what SJM's going for.
Yeah. And I think part of the analysis next season is seeing how her secrets are going to be a betrayal for him. and setting that up too, because I think as readers, we're going to walk away focus on Celaena's betrayal or like hurt and everything. And we're not going to really see the hurt with Chaol. And I bet there's going to be a fair amount of work leading up to it where it just ends up being eclipsed. Like, you know, we're like, we love Celaena and we're like, what the hell? And everything just like is so much more for her. Like our emotions, compassions are so much more for her. I bet there's going to be a fair amount of groundwork that SJM will have laid for us to find that redemption and meant to feel empathy for Chaol as well.
Right. Because there are a lot of ways in which Chaol has Chaol deserves the right to be upset with Celaena.
Yep. It's fair.
Someone does say we're too kind to Chaol.
I know. We'll be mean. We're always mean eventually.
We're always mean to everyone. It just takes time.
This wasn't the book to be mean with him for. Like, you know?
Yeah.
We'll be pissy with him soon enough. Loving feminine rage this season. Plus, props on SJM for a solid first as a 16-year-old.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, even a solid first as a 26-year-old, right?
Yeah. Sorry, keep going.
No, it's just this, you know, she started at 16, but she did revise at 26, and it's still better than a lot of people can produce. I mean, that's older ages.
That's what I want to say is like she started it at 16 and it's not bad for that, but it like definitely was not the book that she started at 16, like guaranteed for that. Not to dismiss what they said, but it's like she started at 16 and had 10 years to revive, to look at, to analyze, to get beta readers, to really come together. So it makes sense why it's such a solid first book, because she put that work into it.
Yeah.
It's very visible for me how much work she put into it.
Yeah, I agree. Said I had something to go off of that. Jen says, the season helped me see where SJM was coming from, and the things I struggled reading made sense. I mean, I struggled with the book as well the first time that I listened to it. So analysis helps. Someone also mentioned that this season also reminded them of season 1 when we analyzed ACOTAR. Felt very similar. And sad that it's over. I am too. I really enjoyed the ACOTAR season. I really enjoyed this season because of how much there is to dig up and analyze, because she's not an author yet who's going to explain everything to us.
I think part of the fun was us. I mean, we were surprised ourselves. Like each episode just kept getting longer and longer. And it was like, no one was more surprised than us. Like as we were talking about it, of like, wow, there's a lot more here than I thought.
Yeah.
I think that not that like the Mist and Fury season was bad. It just wasn't the same as ACOTAR, because there was just so much more character development happening versus like, you know, these other symbolism moments that we're trying to look into. I think that these first 3 books are just so different than the other ones that I don't think we're going to have the same moment as Mist and Fury, right? Like we talked about on the last episode that this book, Throne of Glass, book 1, feels almost like the inciting incident itself.
Yeah. Yep.
So if you think about the larger story, this is only the inciting incident, which happens in the first roughly 25% of the book, less than that.
Right.
So it's kind of like I am keeping that in mind, where, you know, ACOTAR was truly a 3-act structure. Yeah. With those books. Yeah. So, you know, like, and then acts within the acts, right? But yeah, I'm excited for the next one because I have more hope than Mist and Fury.
I do too. I mean, and we loved Mist and Fury.
Yeah.
But I think Crown of Midnight and Air of Fire are going to be fun to analyze the way that Throne of Glass was fun to analyze.
I was going through a breakup when we did Mist and Fury and going and mourning my grandparents' death. I was very sad. One of our listeners was like, I'm going through a breakup. I'm like, you should listen to Mist and Fury. I was going through it. Maybe she can relate to you. Amy, what's that?
An ad break.
We'll be right back.
Nice. Jack, I think your mermaid dreams are finally coming true.
I've definitely seen improved growth in my hair, and that's probably because I have been very committed to my Nutrafol. I'm loving these results.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1.5 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. Physician formulated with 100% drug-free ingredients, Nutrafol's supplements support visibly thicker, stronger hair from within by targeting root causes of thinning, including stress, hormones, aging, nutrition, lifestyle, and metabolism as they evolve throughout a woman's life. And let me tell you, I am at that stressful stage of my life where I need this extra support.
I need support mentally, physically, emotionally, and hairly. While many supplements rely solely on ingredient studies, Nutrafol clinically tests their final formulations to ensure their efficacy. In a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after taking Nutrafol women hair growth supplements for 6 months.
So start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code BOOKTALK.
Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code BOOKTALK. That's BOOKTALK.
That's Nutrafol.com, promo code BOOKTALK.
Amy, you know when you're done reading a really good book and you just have an itch to scratch? You have a trope, a theme, a genre, something that you just really want to get another good story. Fortunately, with Galatea, you have over 1,000 stories to choose from shifter romance to sci-fi, from thrillers to bad boy billionaires, forbidden love, werewolf series, alpha fantasy, rom-coms, and so much more.
Galatea is a reading app where modern book lovers can dive into a library of immersive stories with sound effects, vibrations, and real-time pacing that adapts to your reading speed. Every scene comes alive.
Galatea is home to original series and standalone stories with an exclusive catalog of best-selling authors, and new chapters drop daily. So there's always something new to explore.
Over 30 million people have already made Galatea their go-to. Join now to escape the ordinary and indulge in stories that make you feel everything.
Right now, Galatea is offering our listeners an extra 25% off on top of an already irresistibly affordable subscription when you go to Galatea.com/booktalk.
That's GALATEA.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK to indulge in unlimited stories for even less. Galatea.com/booktalk.
At Capella University, you can learn at your own pace with our FlexPath learning format. Take 1 or 2 courses at a time and complete as many as you can in a 12-week billing session. With FlexPath, you can even finish the bachelor's degree you started in 22 months for $20,000. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu. Fastest 25% of students. Cost varies by pace, transfer credits, and other factors. Fees apply.
Sergeant and Mr. Smith, you're gonna love this house.
Bunk beds in a closet?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
This is from Rosie. I love the whole SJM universe, but there's something about the way Celaena is written that makes me so attached to her. She's my favorite protagonist. Thoughts?
By the end of the series, I agree. I think she's the most deeply flawed.
Yes.
And therefore, she has the most growth to undergo. And therefore, I think also the most relatable because she is so flawed.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. I think that she is top tier feminine protagonist. And some people might find her very, very annoying in book 1, but that's okay. All 18-year-olds are annoying. I'm sorry.
Sorry, 18-year-olds who may or may not be listening.
Yeah, as someone who's had many, many 18-year-old siblings,
yeah,
you're still growing.
Yeah. I was distracted by what you said about 18-year-olds, and now I'm trying to remember what they said. Oh, yeah. She is extremely flawed. I think she's also the most competent. Mm-hmm. That Farah wasn't. I mean, like, Farah had a bow and arrow, and we're just like, yes, and that's what makes you capable of being with all these other hundreds of something-year-olds, right?
Right.
And I think when we first meet Aelin, she's with her peers, age-wise. She's not thrown into the mix of these centuries-old beings until later, right?
Right. It's very true.
And I think that when she's with her peers, there's a certain level of respect that we have and believing. And, you know, because like you have Farah, who's 19, who is suddenly with like planning war strategy. Yeah, with 500-year-olds planning war strategies. And it's like, what do you, like, you have a bow and arrow. You just learned how to read. Like, you're telling me you suddenly know how to help plan a war. So, and then the same thing with Bryce. Bryce is so clever. She's super smart, right? She's still 20-something, and everyone else is still a lot older around her and, you know, more experience with life and has gone through shit. So when we meet Aelin, we meet her on even footing. And I'm able to believe most of the things that happen. I mean, you know, it's hard to believe that an 18-year-old is like the best assassin there ever was, but like, you know, I'll believe it. But it's more believable to me than, you know, you throw her into a war. Now, that will happen, but at that point, you'll have had books of me believing it, you know, getting to know her more.
Right. I completely agree. Oh, Jen says, Avi, you guys are always a 10 out of 10.
Oh, thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
If we're talking, and this is from Grace, if we're talking just this book, I liked it. If we're talking series, I'll pass. ACOTAR is greater.
Okay.
I felt that way for a long time, and I'm willing to, you know, mix it up.
We'll see where this takes us. Leanne says, I don't think Dorian loves Celaena. I think he wants to be her. He wants her bravery and freedom, but he can't. So the next best thing is to be with her. I think that is a great point.
I love that. Absolutely. She is everything that, you know, the courage, you know, willing to fight and stand up. But it's funny because, again, he doesn't really see how terrified she is of his father, which is something they actually have in common.
Yep.
And he doesn't flag it the way that Chaol does. It's funny because of like the fact that she is a princess and royalty, you know, that like there would be even more levels of like wants to be her.
Right. To me, they are two sides of the same coin in the sense that they have so much similar, but so much different. And they're both about to go on a journey that is parallel. So it makes sense that his brain, being also only a 19-year-old, is like, can't understand this idea that he wants to be like her.
Yeah.
So the only logical thing, because this is what society has taught him, is to be with her. Because that's his only understanding of interactions with women.
How much are men raised to look up to women? And how much are they able to say, this person is my hero? Because
a woman is
my hero. And I would say this because there's like also this like ongoing joke where it's like if you ask a man to name a woman, they're like, it's either going to be like Michelle Obama or
their mother,
or something, you know, like just like very
like a famous woman.
Yeah, any woman. Like if you not just say name a woman, any woman. Yeah. It's kind of funny. Like men are only capable of thinking like 3 women and stuff. So I think you come down to, I'm trying to think about like men who are our heroes. Like you ask a woman who's someone that you look up to. I think you'll see a fair amount of men in those lists. I try not to. I try only, like, I had so many men that I had to read about and read their books in college and in high school that once I was out, I'm like, you can't make me bitches. I'm done. Like, you're not going to force me to do this. But, you know, not whether it's just authors or, you know, actual people, I think that it's, like there's more acceptability of women citing men and women to look up to. I don't think men know how to look up to women.
Right. And they're probably put down if they do look up to a woman.
And this is beyond mothers. You know, someone might be like, my son looks up to me or my husband looks up to his mother. And it's like, yes, you know, as they should. But we're talking about like actual like public figures. And maybe this is an example of our society of men not knowing how to look up to women. So what's the next best thing? Be with Celaena.
Yep. Be with them.
Yeah.
Control them.
Jess says, justice for Kaltain. Agreed. Oh, Feeny says, didn't love this book the first time I read it. After this season, I'm obsessed and can't wait for more.
Oh, yay.
Same. I was talking to someone at a party recently and I was talking about Throne of Glass and they're like, I don't know how I feel about it. I'm like, actually, listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
Let us change your mind.
I know someone who read the entire series and strongly disliked it. And she's a friend of mine. And I was like, well, we're about to analyze it. Maybe, and this is at the point where we hadn't even started analyzing it. I was like, it might be worth listening to because we typically look at things differently than everybody else.
We should
Not that I
up
was
with her.
trying to, I should.
We should
I don't know
follow
that
up.
she listened.
Well, no, the thing is, that's me being able to have a discussion with like someone, like I'm willing to defend it and talk about it, but not in my present mind. Like go listen to Jack, who had notes and was thought out and ready.
Yeah.
I can't talk to you now about this.
Yeah.
On
yeah.
the,
yeah.
Like, why is it good? I don't know. The color red? I have nothing for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Celaena's a dog.
Athena says, I feel as though this entire series was so thoroughly well thought out and planned. It is an actual masterpiece and definitely a series that will stick with you for your entire life. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, it keeps going. Throne of Glass starts out feeling young and you can see the characters in the way the characters act, but even from the first chapter and into the ending, they've grown so much, but have so much more to do. Yeah, it feels good knowing that I don't have a warm, fuzzy feeling of, and then they're done.
Right. They were nowhere close to being done.
No. Oh, no. Claudia says, rereading this made me feel so dumb that I missed so many clues for Crown of Midnight and further on. How are you supposed to know, Claudia? None of us knew.
None of us knew. We only are able to identify the clues because we know what's going to happen.
Yep. Gretch says Kaltain's red robe and the control it symbolizes seems similar to Manon's red robe. Yep. Very, very similar.
Very similar. This is from Megan, who says, we talk about how Kaltain is a victim, but so is Cain. He was forced to wear a ring too.
Yeah. You know, this reminds me of, maybe I was like on a live or something, but I remember someone somewhere said, or you and I were reading it being like, I think they're going to be together. Maybe he'll be the love interest. Like, just started reading this. Were you there?
I don't remember this.
Yeah, there was some moment where it was like a woman was saying, oh, I just started reading Throne of Glass and she met Cain. I think they're going to be friends.
Well, I could see how that, like, how other stories have set her up with that expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we think about it, Cain is from the White Fang Mountains, which are inherently anti-Adarlan.
Yep.
So how is Cain a soldier in Adarlan's army without first having potentially been enslaved?
Yep.
And then controlled via the ring?
I think it's a good point. We didn't talk at all about, like, he was just as manipulated. He was controlled. His life was on the line and ultimately lost his life and lost himself farther and farther into it. Yep. We can only imagine how much he actually wanted to be a part of that and wanted to continue. We'll never know. Hashtag justice for Cain. Yeah. No. I'll hashtag we'll talk about it.
Hashtag Cain's a victim too.
Yeah. Hashtag Cain's probably a victim too. Hashtag Cain's probably a victim too, but unless I know more about his past and how he became enslaved and if he had any role against hurting women or innocents, he could be a victim too.
Hashtag I reserve judgment for later.
Yes. This is from Megan. Since Throne of Glass is the first intro to word marks, could that be what's carved into the entry of the Archeron hovel? Yes.
I think
a lot of people.
I don't think it's canon unless SJM said it in a interview, but I think everyone assumes it's canon.
I feel like it's canon.
It could very well be, and I'm not aware of the interview.
What was it? There were some things at the third Crescent City book where we were just like, yes, that's what, like, this doesn't count as a reveal because we all knew this. Like, we all guessed this. I can't remember what it was, but there was a couple of things where it was like, and here's the grand reveal. And it felt like such a flop to me because I was like, I already guessed this.
Yeah. SD says, I agree with everything about Kaltain. You probably only heard from the aunties, but we are here.
Thank you. I love that I complained enough about the anti ones on the podcast that all the people who were like, we support you and Kaltain have come out of the woodworks. I don't know if that's I don't want to read your whole name because, don't want people to find you, but they said, give me more. Just awesome as usual. Many, yes, good points. And didn't catch that. I also thought that Celaena didn't have memories and was actively hiding the fact that she's Aelin. I was in the camp of her not having those memories until she goes through the mirror/glass in the next book. Yeah, I understand why someone would believe that, because I would totally feel that way as well. Yeah. But at the same time, it's just a really good example of use of third person past tense and being able to control a narrative and an unreliable narrator.
Yep, I agree. Grace says, tell me why the first time I read this, I never doubted a word that came out of Celaena's mouth.
I think that's fair. I don't think we should trust her. Did we just say unreliable narrator?
Well, no, but she's saying the first time she read the book, she trusted everything Celaena said.
Oh, she did trust everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
I probably did too, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that she's putting on a bravado facade.
I take what I read literally. Like I'm not going to do an analysis my first time reading things. I do not want to look into what the deeper meaning of things are. I have no interest in that. If you're lying to me, character, that's on you.
Hannah says, mind blown with the Dorian analysis. Never noticed the signs. He was never endgame.
Yep. Miss Erin says, I also got tired of Aelin's quote, not like other girls act. Kaltain Defense Squad. The whole I'm not like other girls, just it screams the time, the period, like, you know, the time of the writing, the period of the writing, and the age of when it was written.
Yeah. Chloe says reading Assassin's Blade first is essential to fully grasping a lot of the Throne of Glass stakes. So I want to talk about this because everyone asks us what reading order we should do, and I've said time and time again, you should always read in publication order because that's how SJM intends for you to receive the information. And I understand this idea that Assassin's Blade sets up stakes and we have a better understanding of who Celaena might be and her background when we get into Throne of Glass, which probably makes her a more likable protagonist when you get to that point. I think Assassin's Blade after Heir of Fire creates a whole new world of understanding for the reader that is even more tragic and painful having read it after you've read the first 3 books. I think it's more impactful to see Celaena's journey over the last 3 books and then realize what she's come from.
The way that Frost and Starlight is a bridge between the first 3 ACOTAR to Silver Flames is the same way that Assassin's Blade is the bridge between the first 3 books and the rest of the series. Now, people might be like, that doesn't make sense because you're going in the past.
Right.
I know, work with me here. But I think that part of what makes Aelin is Celaena, right? And you can't get Celaena without secrets. And that in order to make sense as to why Aelin makes choices, why she's maybe not open with everyone, why she doesn't bring everyone into the fold with all of her plans and she might work a little bit more behind the scenes, that won't make sense if Celaena hasn't lied to you in the first 3 books or the first 2 books, right?
Yeah.
If you haven't been lied to as well and you're just not as equally confused of like, wait a minute, she was hiding this from me the whole time, because there are very definite clues of Celaena being Aelin. Like, it's so aggressively there that it's kind of funny that, you know, like this one listener said, like, I can't believe I missed it. I agree. It needs to be read 4th in the series because you won't understand her traits enough by reading that first.
Yeah, I agree. I think that by the end of book 3, you've come to accept how much she withholds.
Yeah.
Right? And to read Assassin's Blade first and to be privy to the information that she is withholding becomes frustrating, I think.
Yeah.
I think it becomes frustrating. While it would make sense why she's keeping the secrets, I think it becomes more frustrating that she's keeping the secrets because you're in the know with all this information that no one else has.
Yeah. I mean, and also like she's keeping the secrets from herself. And how much does that speak volumes on her? Celaena is not willing to think about these things. She's not willing to let her mind go there. And to ruin it and to kind of like spoil it all beforehand, it takes away how much she's withholding from not just the reader, but from herself.
Right. I think there's also something to be said of the fact that SJM, and I don't know this to be true, but I'm assuming because it was published later, SJM didn't conceptualize the stakes until Assassin's Blade.
I agree.
So why are we reading the stakes if she hasn't even conceptualized them yet?
Yeah. I mean, and this is totally us having this hunch, but like, I don't think that SJM knew this was going to be a 7-book series. I don't think that she knew characters that were going to be appearing down the line. And Assassin's Blade is what wraps up the first 3 with the last 4.
Yeah, it sets the journey for the last 4 books.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think what you said about it being like Frost and Starlight, being that bridge, I think is absolutely accurate because SJM knew what she's done in the first 3 books are not sufficient enough to set up the last 4. Therefore, she had to create that bridge. The same way that Frost and Starlight had to exist because she couldn't get to certain things in Akawar that had to be established before getting to Silver Flames.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, she's a very intentional author.
Yes.
As we've learned through all these seasons of analyzing her work. So I think we have to trust her intentions.
Yeah.
And that's why I read in publication order.
Agreed. Do you want to do the last email?
Sure.
Okay.
So the last email is a shout out to Pooj. That is the name that the Pooj.
Pooj, P-O-O, Pooj. Yeah.
Pooj. Who says, since Jac is transferring things to Storygraph, I thought it might be apt to tell y'all about the Storygraph challenge that I created to track all the books covered during the podcast.
Oh,
I love the podcast a lot and wanted an easier way to remember what books we're reading. We'll put the link in the show notes. I double checked. Pooj has everything through Spring Book Club, all the way through to Crown of Midnight. Yep.
What?
Yep.
Pooj? What? I feel like that's for my birthday. Wow. That's so nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. So we'll set up the link to Storygraph in our show notes so everyone can enjoy and follow along.
I love that. Yeah, that was a great one. Good job, Pooj. Good job, Amy, for picking that to be the last one. And good job, us, for doing a whole half season on it.
Woohoo!
Yay! More to come, but not until Spring Book Club.
Spring Book Club next week is Onyx Storm.
Yay! We have... Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I started rewatching it because my sister is helping us edit.
Oh,
and
nice.
I was double checking her editing and I was like, I can't wait for people to listen to this.
Someone made a comment on one of our, there's that episode where I kind of go on a rant of, Rebecca Yarros wrote popular characters and, why are you committing this to non-popular people? And the person gave such a good counter where I was like, oh, that's chef's kiss. Like, put me in my place, it's, yes, ma'am. She called out that you have the main protagonist is a woman who is a disabled woman who is struggling with disease. And then you have essentially a group of children who have been, what did they say? Not colonized, but like ostracized and essentially slaves.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
You know what? Too fucking shay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these are people who are being taken advantage of by a system.
Yeah.
So that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. Put me in my place. I love it. But yeah. So wait, did your sister, she did all the audio editing too?
She edited, so go check out part 1 of Onyx Storm in Riverside. It's already edited.
Whoa! That's exciting. And so we have Onyx Storm, and then we have a bunch of amazing authors and that we're interviewing. And then I have to finally do a giveaway. I'm so anxious to do a giveaway because I feel like I'm doing something wrong.
You feel like an imposter.
That, and I feel like, I don't know, I'm like, I asked these people to sign books and now we're giving them away. I feel dirty. Although I know people do it, but so yeah, pay attention to our Instagram because we're going to be doing giveaways.
Yeah. And you're only going to be able to participate if you're following us on social.
Yeah.
Specifically Instagram.
Yeah. I mean, TikTok was just renewed for another 75 days, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. All right. I think I'm being eaten alive over here. So let's wrap this up.
Well, we've already done the outro, so we don't have to do anything else.
Holy shit, man. This was great. All right. Well, I guess let's goodbye. Now I go into the outro.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy. We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred podcast listening platform. Next week, we will be discussing Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros.
We would love to hear your thoughts based on today's conversation. If you would like to submit your take on any of the books we plan to discuss later this spring, please be sure to follow us on Instagram, where we ask for listener submissions.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please visit our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, to view our latest merch and learn about supporting the show through Patreon or Venmo. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at the handle Book Talk for Book Talk.
Bye.
You know when you said you looked sickly? And I said, no, you don't. I was looking at that video last night. I was like, oh, yeah, I see what she's saying. You look better today.
I don't look like a Victorian child on their deathbed. Woo! I think it's because of the black. It helps offset a little bit.
Yeah, it does. Let me close my doors so the cats don't come back in.
Okay. Amy, you know when you're done reading a really good book and you just have an itch to scratch? You have a trope, a theme, a genre, something that you just really want to get another good story. Fortunately, with Galatea, you have over 1,000 stories to choose from shifter romance to sci-fi, from thrillers to bad boy billionaires, forbidden love, werewolf series, alpha fantasy, rom-coms, and so much more.
Galatea is a reading app where modern book lovers can dive into a library of immersive stories with sound effects, vibrations, and real-time pacing that adapts to your reading speed. Every scene comes alive.
Galatea is home to original series and standalone stories with an exclusive catalog of best-selling authors, and new chapters drop daily. So there's always something new to explore.
Over 30 million people have already made Galatea their go-to. Join now to escape the ordinary and indulge in stories that make you feel everything.
Right now, Galatea is offering our listeners an extra 25% off on top of an already irresistibly affordable subscription when you go to galatea.com/booktalk.
That's GALATEA.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK to indulge in unlimited stories for even less. Galatea.com/booktalk.
The search for truth never ends. Introducing June's Journey, a hidden object mobile game with a captivating story. Connect with friends, explore the roaring 20s, and enjoy thrilling activities and challenges while supporting environmental causes. After 7 years, the adventure continues with our immersive travels feature. Explore distant cultures and engage in exciting experiences. There's always something new to discover. Are you ready? Download June's Journey now on Android or iOS.